The disappearance of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 about to be solved.
Air travel is commonly perceived as a safe, efficient and rapid mode of transportation. However, when the colossal metal structures soaring thousands of feet above the Earth encounter malfunctions, the consequences can be devastating to say the least. Whenever an aircraft goes off the radar, temporarily vanishing from sight, it tends to evoke widespread panic among those on the ground. This heightened anxiety stems from the worst-case scenario people envision: a plane crash. Over the past few decades, there have been numerous catastrophic plane crashes, most of which resulted in no survivors. While in the event of a crash, people are at least aware of the outcome. When a flight disappears and is never located again, the situation becomes even more distressing. The enigmatic vanishing of these flights often remains an unresolved mystery, leaving the friends and family of those on board without the closure they so desperately seek. In such harrowing circumstances, we believe family members must prepare themselves for the worst possible outcome. The mysterious disappearance of Santiago Flight 513, which went off the grid and was never seen again for more than 30 years, is just one of the many perplexing aviation mysteries that left the world in doubt and awe. Throughout the history of aviation, there have been several strange disappearances that have defied explanation, keeping people forever intrigued and searching for answers. One of the most renowned cases is the unprecedented disappearance of the famous American aviator Amelia Earhart in July 1937. Her disappearance over the Pacific Ocean prompted the US Navy to launch an extensive and costly search, yet her fate remains unknown. Similarly, in December 1945, 5 Grumman TBF Avenger torpedo bombers from the US 19th Squadron vanished over the infamous Bermuda Triangle, leaving a trail of confusion and mystery. More recently, in the modern era of aviation, the world was gripped by the baffling disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. This flight, carrying 239 people, including 4 Americans, went off the radar and was never found. A desperate search effort was launched, but the aircraft's fate remained elusive, leaving a void of uncertainty in the hearts of the victims' families. What makes the story of Santiago Flight 513 so exhilarating is that it defied the norm by reappearing 3 decades after its initial disappearance. Unlike other aircraft that vanished without a trace, Santiago Flight 513 made a miraculous comeback. To anyone who hears about this mind-boggling case, it sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. Indeed, no other explanation seems plausible. For several years, the remarkable tale of this vanished flight has circulated on the internet, often accompanied by sensational headlines such as Pan American Flight 914 took off in 1955, landed after 37 years, or DC-4 aircraft disappeared in 1955, landed after 37 years, and even 1950s airliner lands with 92 skeletons. These headlines all describe the same incident, which seems to have inspired the hit Netflix show titled Manifest. The astonishing story of this disappearing airplane first came to public attention when it was published as a breathtaking news report by the Weekly World News tabloid in their November 14, 1989 edition. The report featured details from a newspaper reporter named Erwin Fisher, who confirmed sketchy details about the missing Santiago Flight 513. At the time, many were skeptical, unsure if this was genuine news or just another sensational hoax. However, according to Brazilian aviation authorities, there is some substance to this story. They confirmed that a commercial airliner named Santiago Flight 513 did indeed depart from Aachen, West Germany on September 4, 1954. The aircraft mysteriously disappeared somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean and was never heard from again. Despite a large-scale search effort, no debris or signs of the vanished aircraft were ever found. Investigators reluctantly concluded that the plane likely crashed and sank in the Atlantic, resulting in the tragic loss of all passengers and crew. For most skeptics, this explanation seemed reasonable, and they saw nothing extraordinary about the case. However, the story of Santiago Flight 513 didn't end there. According to reports, the missing plane allegedly reappeared and was spotted circling the airport of Porto Alegre, Brazil, on October 12, 1989. Shortly after, the aircraft landed, and what authorities found inside was utterly baffling. Airport officials reported that the control tower had no communication with the aircraft as it circled the airport and eventually landed. When they approached the plane and opened its doors, they were met with a shocking and gruesome sight: 92 skeletonized bodies inside the aircraft. These skeletons included all 88 passengers and 4 crew members, each seated in their respective seats. Even more mind-boggling was the discovery that the skeletonized pilot of Santiago Flight 513, Captain Miguel Victor Curie, was also found seated in the cockpit, completing this eerie and inexplicable aviation enigma. This extraordinary tale of Santiago Flight 513 has captivated the imagination of many, and despite skepticism and doubts, it remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in the history of aviation. To this day, no conclusive explanation has been provided for the disappearance and reappearance of this flight, leaving us with a story that seems more like science fiction than reality. In the chilling aftermath of Santiago Flight 513's reappearance in 1989, the eerie discoveries inside the aircraft left investigators baffled. The pilot, Captain Miguel Victor Curie, was found in an intact position, still clutching the controls as if frozen in time. Adding to the mystique, the plane's engines were inexplicably idling. Government officials, however, remained tight-lipped about the bizarre event, offering no explanations for the flight's 35-year disappearance. When Santiago Flight 513 initially departed from Germany in 1954, its intended destination was Porto Alegre, with an estimated arrival time of 18 hours later. Tragically, it never reached its destination. Yet on that fateful day in 1989, when it reappeared, air traffic controllers made multiple attempts to contact the pilot, to no avail. Given the condition of the passengers and crew found on board, their lack of response was understandable. Astonishingly, everything else within the plane remained intact, frozen in time. Despite the passage of 35 years, not a single object or part of the aircraft showed any signs of damage. The media, craving answers to this bewildering enigma, turned to a paranormal researcher named Dr. Celso Atello. He proposed a theory that sent shivers down the spines of those seeking answers. According to Atello, Santiago Flight 513 had undeniably entered a time warp, a phenomenon that defies conventional understanding. However, Atello could not provide a detailed explanation of how this happened, or why the passengers and crew turned into skeletons. Furthermore, the most baffling aspect remained. How did the skeletonized pilot land the plane safely? Adding to the intrigue, Santiago Airlines was believed to have gone out of business in 1956. Executives from that era, still alive today, either genuinely seem to know little about the mysterious Flight 513, or may be concealing something more sinister. The elusive nature of their knowledge raises further questions about the airline's involvement in the incident. Despite extensive investigations by local authorities, government agencies, and their agents, they have maintained a wall of silence surrounding the ghostly airliner. They neither confirm nor deny Dr. Atello's theory about the time warp. This silence has fueled conspiracy theories and paranormal enthusiasts' belief that the government has deliberately suppressed the case to avoid causing public panic. Some even claim that the government may have destroyed evidence suggesting the existence of time warps. It's essential to note that Santiago Flight 513 remains conspicuously absent from mainstream sources like Wikipedia or reputable news outlets. The limited information available raises skepticism about the legitimacy of the story. Airplane enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists ponder whether this engrossing tale is merely a hoax, given the scarcity of verified evidence beyond the single tabloid or newspaper report. Nevertheless, questions persist. If this story is rooted in reality, what happened to Santiago Flight 514, allegedly carrying 92 people? Could it also have fallen victim to a time warp, or is it forever lost to history? The phenomenon of aircraft, ships, boats, and even people vanishing without a trace has long captured the imaginations of many. Some scholars speculate that these locations may possess the unpredictable ability to form time portals or vortexes. These mysterious vortexes, if they exist, could be responsible for the bewildering disappearances that continue to defy explanation, leaving us with more questions than answers in the ever-expanding realm of the unexplained. The concept of a vortex, as suggested by some theories, involves an interaction with a parallel universe. This intriguing idea proposes that a vortex opens up in another world, often referred to as a parallel universe, comprised of antimatter, and it can absorb people, masses, or even time and light. In essence, those who have mysteriously vanished from our world without a trace may have been transported to another dimension within seconds. Throughout our world, there are several remote and enigmatic locations renowned for unexplained and eerie disappearances and unusual incidents. Notable among these are the infamous Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Sea Zone, and the Michigan Triangle. Many individuals believe that the experiences of people like Bruce Gernon in the Bermuda Triangle might provide insight into how and why Santiago Flight 513 disappeared and reappeared 30 years later. The Bermuda Triangle has gained notoriety for the mysterious vanishing of ships, people, and aircraft without concrete explanations. Anything or anyone that disappears within this region has never returned to recount their experiences, except for Bruce Gernon, who allegedly survived an extraordinary encounter in real life. Gernon is the sole person to have emerged from the Bermuda Triangle's clutches with a harrowing tale to tell. According to Gernon, he underwent a time warp experience within the Bermuda Triangle and lived to share his story. He claims to have witnessed the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle unfold before his eyes and possesses insights into how the triangle makes things vanish. Although others have also witnessed strange phenomena and unexplained disappearances within the Bermuda Triangle, Gernon's account is considered particularly compelling. He claims to have witnessed the entire process, from the phenomenon's inception to its culmination in a time storm, followed by escape through a vortex tunnel. resulting in a time warp. Gurnon's remarkable journey unfolded when he flew a Beach Bonanza aircraft from Andros Airport in the Bahamas to Palm Beach, Florida, in December 1970. The distance between these two locations is approximately 250 miles, typically covered by a 47-minute flight at a consistent speed of 500 kilometers per h. During this fateful flight, Gurnon and his daughter, Rob McGregor, encountered an extensive, dense layer of white fog rapidly approaching them. Simultaneously, their plane lost communication with the control center, and the onboard compass and other navigation instruments ceased functioning. Gurnon recalls that everything happened abruptly. Undaunted, Gurnon boldly decided to accelerate the plane toward the approaching fog bank, hoping to break through it and reach clearer skies on the other side. However, upon entering the cloud, the air grew thicker, and within minutes, the plane was engulfed. Visibility was reduced to just 7 or 8 kilometers, although there was no sign of lightning or rain. Gurnon did notice occasional white flashes illuminating the sky. Despite ascending to approximately 3,000 meters, Gurnon's plane remained trapped within the dense cloud cluster. He had lost all sense of direction and was disoriented. It was at this point that Gurnon noticed something truly extraordinary. A massive tunnel, at least 50 kilometers in diameter, emerging through the incredibly thick cloud cover. The visibility within the tunnel was astonishing. In the midst of his precarious situation, Bruce Gurnon made a daring decision to enter the mysterious tunnel that had appeared before him. The tunnel, incredibly horizontal and just over a kilometer in length, seemed to lead towards a blue sky on the other side. Perplexed by the dense, cotton-like clouds and the peculiar air density, Gurnon navigated through the tunnel. Upon emerging from this strange fog, he made a startling discovery. 30 minutes had elapsed, and he had covered 100 miles in an exceptionally short period. During this vortex encounter, Gurnon's journey set the stage for 30 years of research into the Bermuda Triangle. To decipher how he had traversed those 100 miles without any visual reference to the Earth or the surrounding sky, Gurnon attributed this phenomenon to something he termed electronic fog. He believed that he had been ensnared by this electronic fog, a rare natural occurrence that he speculated might explain the myriad disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle throughout history. Many ufologists, conspiracy theorists, and paranormal researchers have also contemplated similar scenarios, speculating that something akin to the electronic fog might have befallen Santiago Flight 513. However, this theory fails to elucidate why the passengers on the flight were reduced to mere skeletons, or how one of these skeletons could continue flying the plane. Over the years since the reappearance of Flight 513, numerous wild theories have emerged. Some enthusiasts of the extraterrestrial persuasion propose that alien beings abducted the plane. They argue that the absence of records regarding the plane or its occupants during the intervening years supports this notion. The time warp theory, which aligns with the 30-year gap between the disappearance and reappearance, is another prevailing theory. Still, it leaves unanswered questions about the skeletal state of the passengers and the plane's pilot continuing to operate the aircraft. Additional theories suggest that the aircraft may have landed on a remote island or been stranded in an uninhabited region of another country. These scenarios postulate that everyone on board succumbed to starvation or dehydration. However, they fail to account for how the pilot navigated the plane back to its intended destination. In these speculative theories, the parallel dimension theory appears to be the most plausible to some. In recent years, the scientific understanding of our universe has evolved, revealing patterns and cycles that defy traditional notions of chance and randomness. Some studies have even suggested that our universe may be more structured and interconnected than previously imagined. Whatever the truth regarding the mysterious disappearance and reappearance of Santiago Flight 513, it undeniably ranks as one of the most perplexing events in aviation history. Given the limited and unverified information surrounding this incident, it remains unlikely that we will ever uncover the complete story of what transpired, assuming it was a real occurrence. The perplexing case of Santiago Flight 513 is not the only instance that has baffled the world. In 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, or MH370, vanished without a trace. This international passenger flight, operated by Malaysia Airlines, disappeared on March 8, 2014, from Kuala Lumpur International Airport to Beijing Capital International Airport. Communication with the aircraft was lost approximately 38 minutes after takeoff over the South China Sea. Despite extensive search efforts, the aircraft and its 239 passengers and 12 crew members have never been found, leaving an enduring mystery that continues to perplex and haunt the world today. The disappearance of Flight 370, Malaysia Airlines' ill-fated Boeing 777, stands as one of the most tragic and mysterious incidents in aviation history. It not only marked the deadliest event involving a Boeing 777, but also represented the deadliest episode in Malaysia Airlines' storied history. Tragically, this sorrowful distinction was later eclipsed by the downing of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 over eastern Ukraine in July 2014. The combined loss of these two flights, carrying hundreds of passengers, dealt a devastating blow to Malaysia Airlines' reputation and financial stability. In response to their ongoing financial challenges, Malaysia Airlines was renationalized by the Malaysian government in August 2014. The search for the missing Flight 370 became a monumental and unprecedented endeavor in the realm of aviation. Initially, the focus was on the South China Sea and the Andaman Sea, before crucial data from the aircraft's automated communications with an Inmarsat satellite indicated a possible crash site in the southern Indian Ocean. The early days following the disappearance were characterized by a dearth of official information, which drew criticism from both the Chinese and Malaysian public. The anguish and anger of the families and friends of the passengers, primarily of Chinese origin, were palpable. In 2015 and 2016, several pieces of debris washed ashore in the western Indian Ocean, and much of this debris was confirmed to have originated from Flight 370. However, despite extensive efforts spanning 3 long years and covering 120,000 square kilometers of ocean, authorities failed to locate the aircraft. Ultimately, in January 2017, the Joint Agency Coordination Center leading the operation suspended its activities. A glimmer of hope emerged when a private contractor, Ocean Infinity, initiated a second search in January 2018, lasting 6 months, but it too concluded without success. Throughout the investigation, authorities explored various theories, including the possibility of a hypoxia event, which was initially considered the most likely cause based on analysis of data from the Inmarsat satellite. However, experts remain divided on this theory, and no consensus has been reached. At different stages of the investigation, authorities also entertained hijacking scenarios, including potential crew involvement. The contents of the airplane's cargo manifest raised suspicions as well. Despite the plethora of theories proposed by experts and the media, a definitive answer to the mystery remains elusive. In July 2018, the Malaysian Ministry of Transport issued an inconclusive final report, which did highlight Malaysian air traffic control's failure to attempt communication with the plane shortly after its disappearance. In the absence of a definitive explanation for the disappearance, the aviation industry has made safety recommendations and regulations to mitigate the risk of similar incidents in the future. By October 2017, 20 pieces of debris purportedly linked to Flight 370 were found on beaches in the western Indian Ocean, with 18 of these items confirmed to be very likely or almost certain to originate from the aircraft. Some experts, like Professor Gung Chen of Texas A&M University, have posited the theory that MH370 may have entered the sea vertically. This perspective suggests that any other angle of entry would have caused the aircraft to splinter into multiple pieces, which would likely have been discovered by now. In essence, the fate of MH370 remains shrouded in mystery, leaving a trail of unanswered questions. Was it hijacked, shot down, or did it meet another fate entirely? The inexplicable nature of the incident serves as a haunting reminder of the uncertainties that can surround aviation disasters, and the search for definitive answers may remain an elusive quest. Another plane hijacking, also marked by numerous unanswered questions, occurred in 1971, further illustrating the enigmatic nature of such events in aviation history. Even to this day, the identity of the hijacker of Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, famously known as D.B. Cooper, remains an enduring mystery that has captured the imagination of people around the world. The saga unfolded in November 1971, when a Boeing 727 aircraft was cruising through the United States airspace during its flight from Portland, Oregon, to Seattle, Washington. During the flight, the hijacker discreetly conveyed to a flight attendant that he was armed with a bomb, initiating a high-stakes hijacking. His demands were clear. He sought a ransom of $200,000, which in today's terms would equate to over $1.3 million. Additionally, he requested 4 parachutes. Upon landing in Seattle, the hijacker released the passengers, only to instruct the flight crew to refuel the aircraft and prepare for a second flight to Mexico City, with a refueling stop in Reno, Nevada. Approximately 30 minutes into the subsequent flight from Seattle, over southwestern Washington, the hijacker made his daring move. He opened the aircraft's aft door, deployed the staircase, and parachuted into the darkness below. Remarkably, this audacious act occurred nearly 51 years ago, and despite extensive efforts, the hijacker's identity remains unknown to this day. The enigma has only deepened by the discovery of a small portion of the ransom money, attributed to D.B. Cooper, along the banks of the Columbia River in 1980. Despite the renewed public interest sparked by this find, authorities were unable to unearth any additional information about the hijacker or his ultimate fate. The bulk of the money has never been recovered. Interestingly, while on the plane, the hijacker identified himself as Dan Cooper. However, a reporter's error led to him being widely referred to as D.B. Cooper. For 45 years following the hijacking, the FBI actively pursued leads and maintained an extensive case file, but failed to reach any definitive conclusions. D.B. Cooper's case holds the distinction of being the only unsolved case of air piracy in the history of commercial aviation. The prevailing belief among investigators is that Cooper did not survive the perilous jump from the plane, Several factors contributed to this hypothesis, including inclement weather on the night of the hijacking, Cooper's lack of proper skydiving equipment, and his chosen drop zone, a densely wooded area. Furthermore, Cooper's limited knowledge of his landing area added to the belief that survival would have been exceedingly challenging. The fact that the ransom money was never spent or re-entered circulation also fueled suspicions of Cooper's demise. In July 2016, the FBI officially suspended its active investigation of the case, yet the intrigue surrounding DB Cooper persists. Reporters, enthusiasts, investigators, and amateur sleuths continue to chase leads in an ongoing quest to unravel the mystery of Cooper's identity and his ultimate fate. The audacious hijacking by DB Cooper, along with similar incidents by copycats in the following years, prompted substantial changes in commercial aviation. Stricter security measures were implemented at airports, including the installation of metal detectors and mandatory baggage inspections. Passengers purchasing tickets with cash on the day of departure were subjected to enhanced scrutiny. In particular, all Boeing 727s underwent retrofits featuring the so-called Cooper vanes, designed to prevent the lowering of the aft staircase during flight. These security enhancements significantly reduced the incidence of aircraft hijackings by 1973. Throughout the investigation's initial stages, the FBI relied on eyewitness accounts from passengers and crew to develop composite sketches of Cooper. However, the first sketch was deemed an inadequate likeness by the witnesses. By April 1974, the FBI had refined its composite sketch to present the best likeness of Cooper based on the available evidence and the hijackers' tactics. Investigators concluded that Cooper had meticulously planned the entire operation, demonstrating a detailed understanding of aviation, local geography, and the capabilities of the Boeing 727. He had strategically selected a seat in the last row of the rear cabin to minimize the risk of attack from passengers and crew, as well as to remain inconspicuous to fellow travelers. Cooper's shrewdness was further evident in his demands for 4 parachutes to ensure they were not sabotaged, and his gambit to make authorities believe he would force hostages to jump with him. The choice of a bomb as his weapon was calculated, thwarting any attempts by the FBI to rush him from multiple directions. Intriguingly, Cooper left minimal evidence behind, requesting that all notes written by or on his behalf be returned to him before his parachute jump. His calculated actions and intelligence have led many to believe that he may have successfully executed the hijacking and made off with the ransom money. Nonetheless, doubts persist within law enforcement circles about the ultimate success of Cooper's daring mission, perpetuating the mystique of the enigmatic hijacker who vanished into history. Which one of these plans is still your biggest mystery that you hope one day gets solved?